There's something nobody talks about when it comes to people who are always late. Not the eye rolls, not the frustration, something deeper, something that actually says a lot about who you are at your core. And if you've ever quietly wondered why you feel this way, why, no matter how hard you try, time seems to slip through your fingers, stay with me. Because what I'm about to share might be the first time anyone has ever truly understood you. Most people will never understand this. They see lateness, and they see disrespect. They see carelessness. They see someone who doesn't care enough to show up on time. But psychology tells a very different story. And if you're someone who struggles with time, if you've been called unreliable, flaky, even selfish, I want you to know something before we go any further. You are not broken. You are not lazy. And this is not a character flaw. What if I told you that the very thing people criticize you for is actually one of the most complex psychological profiles a person can have? That the way your mind works, the way it moves through the world, is connected to depth, creativity, and a kind of emotional richness that most people will never experience. Let's talk about what's really going on. The first thing you need to understand is something psychologists call time blindness. And it's not a metaphor. It's a real neurological experience. For most people, time exists as a kind of background hum, a constant, steady rhythm they can feel without thinking about it. But for some people, time doesn't work that way. Instead of a continuous flow, their brain experiences time in two simple states, now and not now. That's it. Everything that isn't happening in this moment feels equally distant, whether it's 10 minutes from now or 10 years from now. Dr. Russell Barkley, one of the most respected researchers in behavioral psychology, has spent decades studying this phenomenon. He describes it as a fundamental difference in how the brain processes future events. And here's what that means for you. When you're in the middle of something, really in it, absorbed in a conversation or a task or a creative flow, your brain isn't giving you a warning signal. It isn't whispering, "Hey, you have somewhere to be in 20 minutes." It's simply present, completely, fully present. Think about the last time you lost track of time. You were reading something or talking to someone or working on a project, and suddenly an hour had vanished. You weren't being careless. Your brain was doing what it does best, diving deep, fully immersing. That kind of presence, that capacity to be completely absorbed in something, that is not a weakness, that is a gift. The same mind that makes you late is the same mind that makes you extraordinary when you care about something. The second insight goes even deeper. People who struggle with punctuality often have what psychologists call a high present-hedonism time orientation, a concept developed by Philip Zimbardo in his research on the psychology of time. Simply put, you are wired to live in the moment more intensely than other people. Your nervous system is drawn toward what is alive right now, the conversation that's still going, the feeling that hasn't finished, the idea that's still unfolding. Here's a moment you might recognize. You're getting ready to leave the house, you're almost out the door, and then someone says something interesting, or you notice something, or a thought arrives that you can't quite let go of. And before you know it, 10 minutes have passed. From the outside, it looks like you don't care about being on time. But from the inside, you were just following the pulse of what felt real, what felt alive. That's not selfishness. That's sensitivity. And the people who experience the world most richly, artists, visionaries, deeply empathetic humans, often share this exact orientation toward time. Your presence isn't a problem. It's the very thing that makes people feel truly seen when they're around you. The third insight is one that might surprise you. Research in psychology has found a strong connection between chronic lateness and optimism. Yes, optimism. A study published in the Personality and Social Psychology Bulletin found that people who consistently underestimate how long things will take tend to hold an inherently positive view of the future. They genuinely believe they can do more in less time. They trust that things will work out. They approach each day with a kind of hopeful energy that says, "It'll be fine. I'll make it. Psychologists call this the planning fallacy, the very human tendency to imagine the best-case version of how events will unfold. And while it can absolutely create problems with punctuality, what it reflects underneath is something beautiful. An unshakable belief that the world is manageable, that you can handle what's coming, that today holds possibility. You've probably told yourself you'd only need 5 minutes to get ready, or that the drive would be quick, or that you could finish this one last thing before heading out. And you genuinely believed it. Not because you were lying, but because your mind reaches toward possibility by default. That optimism, that refusal to expect the worst, is the same quality that makes you resilient, that makes you keep going when things fall apart. Don't let anyone take that from you. The fourth insight is perhaps the most emotionally important one. Many people who are chronically late carry a deep, quiet anxiety that other people never see. On the surface, it looks like they don't care. But underneath, there is often an overwhelming internal world, a mind that is processing so many things at once that the logistics of time become almost impossible to manage. Psychologists who work with anxiety, ADHD, and high sensitivity have consistently found that lateness is frequently a symptom of internal overload, not external indifference. You might know this feeling. The morning where you needed to leave at 8, and at 7:45 you found yourself standing in the kitchen, completely still, because you couldn't decide which of the 17 things in your mind to address first. Or the moment where the task of preparing to leave felt so overwhelming that you froze, and then moved slowly, and then somehow it was already too late. That paralysis isn't weakness. It's what happens when a sensitive, complex mind is carrying more than people can see. The same emotional depth that makes you empathetic, that makes you feel things so acutely, that makes you the person your friends call when they need someone who truly gets it. That depth is also what makes the ordinary rhythm of the day feel heavy sometimes. You are not failing at life. You are navigating an interior world that most people don't even have access to. And the fifth insight brings everything together in a way I want you to really sit with. There is a concept in psychology called polychronic time orientation, the tendency to experience time as layered and simultaneous rather than linear and sequential. Monochronic people, most of the Western world, move through time in a straight line. One thing, then the next. On the clock, on the schedule, efficient and ordered. But polychronic people experience time differently, multiple threads running at once. A conversation that leads to a memory that sparks an idea that opens into a feeling, all happening simultaneously, all demanding attention, all feeling equally real and immediate. Research in cross-cultural psychology has found that this orientation toward time is not just normal. It's the dominant mode of human experience across much of the world and throughout most of history. The rigid, clock-driven relationship with time we now take as standard is actually a relatively recent, culturally specific construct. Which means this: the way you experience time might feel like a malfunction in the modern world, but it's actually a more ancient, more fluid, more human way of moving through life. You were not built for assembly lines and rigid schedules. You were built for depth, for connection, for the kind of meaning-making that doesn't fit neatly into a calendar. Now here is the reframe I want to leave with you. The one that I hope changes something. We live in a world that has decided that punctuality equals respect and lateness equals failure. But that equation was written by systems, not by people. Not by the full, complex, aching, beautiful truth of what it means to be a human being moving through a world that is anything but simple. You have spent years internalizing someone else's framework for your value. You have called yourself irresponsible, inconsiderate, a mess, because you don't move through time the way machines do. But here is what is also true. You are the person who stays when the conversation gets real. You are the one who loses yourself in something because you actually care about it. You are the one who sees the story unfolding in a moment that everyone else has already moved past. You are not late to life. You are living it more slowly, more fully, more honestly than most people allow themselves to. That doesn't mean you shouldn't work on it. Showing up for others matters. Reliability is a form of love, and there are tools, real, practical, psychological tools, that can help a mind like yours work with time instead of against it. But before you can work on anything, you have to stop treating yourself like a problem to be solved. You are not a problem. You are a person, with a rich, layered, complicated relationship with time and with yourself. If this video felt like something you needed to hear, if it reflected something true about who you are, then you're exactly who this channel is for. We explore the psychology of the human experience here, the parts people don't talk about, the parts that get misunderstood, the parts that, when finally seen clearly, reveal something extraordinary. Subscribe and join this community, because there's so much more to understand about yourself, and you deserve to understand all of it.